People of the realm. Just like Tyrion in a whorehouse, George R.R. Martin likes a good old tease. The only difference is that our author teases us with the ideas of identity, and that's what today's video is all about, the identity of the hooded man of Winterfell. Westerosi and Essosi. Many things in the books are a certainty. Bran cannot walk, Tyrion likes to talk, and Stannis, although a badass, is in need of a toupee. But other things pose many a question and force us readers to endlessly theorise on the who's who when it comes to a mysterious character and their descriptions. Well, I've stumbled upon a theory, and props go to the Reddit poster Frosted Harbor for it, cause it's got my brain a-going. In order to theorise about who the hooded man of Winterfell is, we first need to remind ourselves of what we actually know so far. In A Dance of Dragons, Winterfell is under siege. The Boltons have decided to hold up within the walls along with their supposed allies, which include the Mandalays and the Freys, and a few other houses. Very soon a rash of murders occur within the walls, and this raises the tensions for this fragile alliance. So far the victims include a Ryswell man of arms, one of the Bastards boys who's known as Yellow Dick, and funnily enough he's actually found with his member shoved down his mouth into his throat. Little Walder is also one of the people to kick the bucket as well. Try not to shed a tear with that one. The enemy so far is camping outside, and murders are happening within the walls, so it's very odd when Theon, a broken Theon, encounters a mysterious man. Have a look at their exchange here. So he came upon a man striding in the opposite direction, a hooded cloak flapping behind him. When they found themselves face to face, their eyes met briefly. The man put a hand on his dagger. So you can see so far the exchange between the two on the screen. Now this man very clearly seems to know Theon, but Theon can't really see the man's face due to his hood. Now it's not that we would think Theon would attempt to, after all by this time he is well and truly Reek, and he's more a faithful hound than actually a man who would physically challenge another. Now currently he's wandering the castle at night cause, rightly so, Theon, or Reek, he cannot sleep, and this actually makes him one of the prime suspects for the killings, or that's what the Boltons and others think. So this hooded man, he is most likely the candidate for these murders within the grounds of Winterfell. He hides his face with a hood. Victims are from different houses, and that indicates that these victims are more rather chosen, and this is done to destabilise this alliance. So who would have both the motive and the means to carry out these acts? Well, after reviewing the possibilities, I think that HM equals HM, that the hooded man is Hallis Mollen. Hallis who, you bloody say? Well, that's a good question, so you're going to have to sit back while I remind you of him, and then you can make up your own mind whether Hallis is the hooded man. Now in order to do this we have to stretch our memories way back for his initial introduction. As you will remember, Jory Castle rode off with Ned to King's Landing and his eventual death. Robb named Hallis Mollen as Jory's replacement as a captain of the guards of Winterfell. Now needless to say, Hallis became a trusted advisor to Robb, guarding him and even offering counsel to raise his bannermen after his father was injured in the capital. When the forces eventually leave Winterfell with Robb to ride south, it's Hallis who carries the banner of House Stark. During the war, Catelyn Stark makes some observations about Hallis as he's now been given the duty of guarding her. She states that he has a tendency for stating the blatantly obvious and also has a loose tongue. He's also the one who quickly escorts Brienne and Catelyn out of Renly's camp, but not before blabbing to Lucas Blackwood about how the parley had failed between Renly and Stannis. Now with Renly dead they return to Riverrun, where once again Hallis points out the obvious, that the Tullys have killed some Lannister men who are actually hanging from the castle gate as they go in. These men actually accompanies Cleos Frey, who unbeknowingly carried with him Hallis Mollen's final mission. Cleos returned Ned's bones to Cat, and now she has tasked Hallis to return them to the rightful place at the crypts of Winterfell. Hallis, the rest of his guard, and Ned's remains have not been heard from or seen from since. So let's assume that Hallis managed to get past Moat Cailin before the Ironborn took it. Lady Dustin herself has stated that she's actually on the lookout for the guards and Ned's remains, so more than likely they would have been stopped in the Barrowlands. Now I'm certain that Lady Dustin is part of the Great Northern Conspiracy along with the Manderleys, so she may well have hidden Ned's bones whilst tasking Hallis with a different mission: destabilise the enemies of the Starks from within, allowing us to liberate Winterfell, saving fake Arya, and for you to complete your final mission of delivering Ned to the tombs. So let's review. Both Hallis and the Hooded Man like to state the obvious. Hallis introduced and imprisoned Jaime Lannister to Catelyn as the Kingslayer, and the Hooded Man actually calls Theon Turncloak. Now I would say that Turncloak is certainly a more personable insult, for to be called one you must first know why he is considered one. Hallis Mollen spent many a year at Winterfell and on campaign with Robb. He would have known that Theon and Robb were close and pretty much considered themselves as good as brothers, hence the name Theon Kinslayer. He would have also known that Theon gave his word to bring the Ironborn into the war for Robb, and in joining them instead, became the Turncloak. It's also important to add that the Hooded Man obviously wears a hood. Now you could argue that the north is bloody cold, and yes, you'd be right to say so, but it's also a good way to protect your identity. And I'm pretty sure that people could identify the former captain of the guards of Winterfell if you gave them a chance. And let's not forget the little Walder, he was one of the victims. He's bound to have met Hallis at the Twins. After all, it was part of the agreement to allow the northern forces to cross the river. Both Little Walder and his cousin Big Walder were actually taken to ward in Winterfell, so the chances that they all crossed paths is very likely indeed. So that's the end of the video. What do you think? Is Hallis Mollen your pick, or do you actually think it's someone else? The fires of theory grow cold for now, so gather your furs, down your favourite swill and be on your way, but remember, I'm the Northlander. You know nothing and neither do I. See you in the next one.